Hey guys, what's up? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a great start to your day. And in today's video, I'm just gonna do something super light, okay? Because I know the past two topics have been really heavy, and I just wanted to sort of, interact with you. I wanted to get talking to you on another level because I do respond to your comments, and we sort of interact a little bit. But I definitely wanted to answer your questions publicly because I'm just gonna pick the common questions and sort of answer them. This is like, it could be based on the other two topics, or it could be just random anything, okay? It depends on what questions you guys have asked. So thank you so much for your questions, and yeah, we're gonna dive right in and discuss. So sit back, relax, and grab whatever you want to grab because I feel like this is also gonna be a long video. Hey, it's Sunday, okay? Like, what is Sunday without a 30-minute Mal video, dude? Come on. Like, we all know my videos are so long. I just want to thank you for your support and your encouragement, man. You guys are like my number one cheerleader, and that's what helps me move ahead with this playlist. And I'm gonna continue to do and put out content like this all the time because I know it's helping so many of you out there. And can I tell you something? It's helping me too. Like, it's really helping me discover who I am, and it's showing me who I want to be and the kind of person I want to be. So when I research different topics, when I look up interviews of amazing people online, I'm trying to find my rhythm, right? So I'm trying to find out different motivational speakers and who clicks with me. I'm just learning so much, and it's helping me become a better human being. So I want to thank you for helping me become better. All right, so like, this is my natural hair, you guys. This is 100% natural, okay? Like, look how frizzy, look how badly my hair needs a trim. I just use like some curling cream when it's wet, and I just scrunched it, and this is how my hair looks. But girl, like, I quit, okay? Like, I can't handle my hair anymore. I can't do the Dyson anymore. I'm super tired. I just want to relax. So I hope you guys enjoy my really nice curly frizzy hair, okay? Okay, first question is, I have parents who don't allow me to follow my passion. So I can definitely answer this in a nutshell, but I really recommend that you watch my earlier video. I put it up last Sunday. It's how to find your path and what to do if you have no support of your parents. So I give you a very detailed answer and a very deep understanding of what you can do. So I personally recommend that you watch that video and you will get that answer. I'm gonna leave it down below so you can check it out. How to stop overthinking. Oh my god, like, if you had asked me this answer 3 years ago, I would have been like, well, try to read books, distract yourself, and those are things you could do. But I feel like I've reached a stage where now I have some really like different answers, and if you really want to stop overthinking, I feel like you need to sit still. And I have not done that a lot in my life. And I feel like over the past few weeks, when I've watched people that I respect and look up to, they are always talking about meditation and how to just sit still, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, how to just be with yourself. And I feel like I'm gonna start putting that into practice. I don't actively do it, but it naturally comes to me where I just sit with my tea outside the window and I'm just like staring at the sun sometimes. I feel like that is also enough. So I highly recommend you trying to sit still and be still with yourself sometimes, without your phone, without your husband, without anyone around you, just you and yourself. Whether it's waking up early in the morning, taking your cup of coffee, sitting outside the window, and just be still with yourself. Try and ask questions of why. Why am I overthinking? What is it that has caused me to overthink? Why am I so hard on myself? Where is this coming from? I feel like if you sort of ask those questions to yourself, and if you start taking responsibility of the circumstances in your life, everything's about to change. And it's a very deep understanding of self-awareness. It takes practice to get to that level, but I feel like you can begin that process, okay, by just sitting still with yourself and allowing yourself to understand who you really are, understanding where are these thoughts coming from, why am I focusing so much on that particular topic. Because I remember I used to be the queen of overthinking, baby. I used to overthink on the smallest things. Like, Akhil used to be busy with work and used to not respond to my text. I used to go into this whole tangent of why he's not replying to me. Like, I used to just be like, oh my god, like, is it something I did? What can I do to fix it? Like, it's my fault. Oh my god, I used to be the queen of overthinking. And I know all of us are there, mostly girls overthink a lot. But I feel like now that the minute I start overthinking about a certain topic, I shift focus and I'm like, hey, calm down. Why am I thinking like that? Where is this coming from? Okay, what softwares do you use to edit your YouTube videos? So I just use one, that is FCP, which is Final Cut Pro. Jake taught it to me and it is the best software for editing videos. If you're a beginner, I recommend iMovie. It's where I started. I used to edit my videos on my phone, and iPhone has this built-in editing app which is called iMovie. Has Akhil and you ever felt awkward due to your popularity, or you guys embraced it completely? I'm not like so popular, you guys. Like it's okay. Initially it was awkward for him because he is not the social media kind of guy. Like he's very private and he doesn't really, he has Instagram only to check my stories out and to check his best friends out or his dad's, but he literally doesn't actively use social media. And I kind of like that, to be honest with you, because I don't know what I would do if all of us were so sucked into social media. Like my brother Jake, my older brother Jay, like he's also not too much into social media, but like he knows a lot about it, right? I mean, he knows what's trending and you know, he's into it. And I feel like having that one person, that your partner is so away from social media, is different. It's a breath of fresh air because everyone is sucked into it. And I feel like initially he was awkward. He didn't know how to like be on my stories and how to be in my videos. There were so many videos where we recorded where I had to delete it because it just didn't feel real. Like he felt so awkward and I couldn't put that on camera because I really wanted, you know, him to be himself. He was projecting someone else on camera and he was something else off camera, so I sort of sensed that. But now he's more comfortable. Of course, it's been years. He's more comfortable. He loves talking to you guys. He's like, what will your audience think about this? Let's ask your people what they think about this. So he's actively involved and he loves to be a part of stories, and he's on my YouTube videos. And yeah, it took time, but it's fun, and I like to bring him on like in gaps because that's just not his vibe, man. I don't want to push something on someone if that's not their space. You gotta respect their space. And yeah, but it's fun having him around social media. Give some tips to budding YouTubers and vloggers. I'm gonna give you like a few tips, okay? Firstly, I recommend you buy a good phone or basically a good camera. It could be a vlogging camera or it could be like a great phone, because I started with my phone. So if you have a great equipment, that's all you'll need, and you don't need to buy artificial lighting. You have the sun, which is a great source of light, and it's still what I use with my ring light. So I highly recommend that you invest in really good equipment. That is your camera, not necessarily lighting. Secondly, be 100% yourself. Like just know who you are, and just as you are on camera is the exact person you need to be off camera, because that is what's going to set the tone for your channel. And you can't pretend, right? How much are you going to pretend? Like it's going to stop at some point, right? So just be who you are. That's the greatest power you have. Be unique, be authentic, master your craft. Like whatever you get into, make sure you know it so well and no one else can like question you on it. Whether it's cooking, whether it's fitness, whatever you decide you want to go, whether it's comedy or training or teaching about something, make sure you know that topic really well and then you come on camera, because people are looking to learn from you, okay? So that's where I am from, and I just wanted to study makeup so well so that when I come on camera I know exactly what I'm talking about, and that really gave me the confidence to be on camera because I knew what I was talking about. Don't dive into everything like cooking, workout, travel. Like don't do everything initially. Try and stick to one niche and make that your power and your USP. Then it would be consistent. Like make sure you are uploading something or the other on all your social media channels, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever your main social media platform is. Make sure you are just creating content non-stop and putting it out every week. How would you describe your journey? Such a cute question. I can say this, that whatever I've been through till today, I embrace it. I used to constantly dwell on my sadness. I used to be like, why is this happening only to me? Why did I have to go through this? You know, I wish we had this, I wish we had that. And I do that sometimes. I'm very, very aware of when I do that, and I completely be like, hey, you gotta be thankful, you gotta be thankful. So it takes a lot of time and understanding and patience with yourself to be here. It's been great. Like there's been a lot of difficulty in bringing up in putting content out there during my really bad times off camera, and during dealing with a lot of like family issues and very difficult financially, and I know a lot of us are there and have been there, where it was really difficult for me to sort of forget my family problems and just put on a happy face in front of the camera. But I feel like all of that has taught me so much in life, and I feel like it's gotten me to where I am today. If you don't fail, you're never gonna learn lessons from it. And dude, the fact that I failed in life and my family sort of went through an adversity and went through something really, really difficult in life, where everything came to a standstill for us. At that time, I didn't understand it. At that time, I did not know why this was happening to me, and I used to blame people for it. And I used to blame the person that you did this, and because of you, we're in this mess. And I've come to an understanding that, hey, it's happened, and if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be here today. Okay, I would have still been in this very ignorant place in my life. And I thank my life for giving me that adversity. I thank my life for putting me through hell, and because I would not know how to pick myself up. Now I can be anywhere in difficult situations in life, and I'll be like, hey, I've been through the worst in my understanding, and I've been through it. It's over, it's done. But now I'm in a place where I'm so happy. I'm in a better place in life, and my journey has been so like a roller coaster, like everyone else's. But I feel like it's been like on this trajectory for a very long time. It's been like this since 2 years. No, wait, since a year. It's been like this, and it's continuously going at this pace, which I'm so happy about. And I'm not just talking about career wise, I'm talking about like my family wise, my happiness wise, my marriage, like my relationships with my friends, and everything has been on a slope like this because of all the understandings I've had through my difficult phases. So yeah, I need to thank those difficult moments, and I need to set them off with a happy smile. Like, thank you for being in my life, and you taught me good lessons, but now I want to set you free. And I want to get on this path of acceptance and just being aware of my surroundings and being thankful for whatever life has taught me, man. Like, I know I'm talking like a 60-year-old, but when you go through something so hard hitting, like from top to bottom, like rock bottom, you just learn a lot. I think when you hit rock bottom really fast and you just don't know, like, it's like falling on the ground, right? You trip on something, and before you know it, you're on the ground, and you're like, what the hell just happened? That exactly happened with life in me, and I don't want to dwell on it anymore. I want to just be thankful for it, and yeah, move on in life. So thank you for asking me that. Like, thank you. I have a supporting husband, but not in-laws. How to handle them? Yeah, it's so difficult. I can't imagine what you're going through, and if I was in your place, I would really try and have a conversation with my husband, because it always begins with conversation. And you literally are like, I have a very supporting husband. You're saying that, which you have won the battle already. Like, your husband supports you. It's all you will need, baby girl, because now if your husband supports you, he needs to sort of put his feet on both sides, and he needs to sort of explain to his parents where you are struggling, and he needs to sort of bring that balance into your life, and he needs to be the mediator here, because he supports you and those are his parents. Yeah, if they're not supporting you and they're being difficult on you, I feel like your husband needs to step in here. This is his job now, because you can't take care of everyone, and you can't please everybody. Your husband, your in-laws, your relatives, you can't possibly please everybody. So it is truly your husband's responsibility to sort of come in here and sort of pave the way for a comfortable relationship. He needs to sort of balance it out. If he truly supports you and he takes your side, try and see where the discomfort lies and talk to your husband about it, because honey, if he supports you, this should not be happening in the first place. Like, he is supposed to talk to his parents on your behalf. He's supposed to sort of bring an understanding between the two of you. I really hope that helps, and I really hope husband, please help her out here. She is struggling. Yeah, he's all you got, because he can make this better. How are you and Akhil keeping your love spark during this quarantine? So yeah, we just got married 2 months ago, but we've been together for over a decade. So I know it really gets difficult when you start, not difficult, I wouldn't say, it really comes to it's a different feeling when you're living with someone, and when you start understanding their patterns and their lifestyle. It definitely is a different feeling, but it's not like, you know, love is very romanticized. It's this way it's supposed to be, and it took a lot of it's very difficult for me to come to this understanding, because even for me it was this like, oh my god, 24/7 we should like be together in this rosiness, and we should do stuff together, like work together, work out together, eat together. Like it's too much. I feel like initially that's what happens, but I feel like when you get married, we sort of come to an understanding where it's not this idea of a rosy bubble that you're in. It is beautiful, it's mature, it's understanding. We both take our times, we work the entire day. He does a lot.
What? Who is cooking out there, dude? Relax. Why do mothers bang their vessels down when they're washing? Like, calm down, lady.
You can't be together 24/7. You gotta have time for yourself. So we wake up and we go, each of us go into our different rooms, and we work a lot. Like right now I'm working, he's in his own room doing his own thing. So we spend the entire day doing our own thing, but we meet each other in the middle. I go to give him some snacks, or he comes to give me a drink, and we sort of like meet that way, but we don't spend the entire like day together. It's too much, and it's not healthy. It's you need to have your own space, and you need to have your own time. So that's what we've been doing. So yeah, we meet together in the night, and then we have a drink, we have a meal, we have conversations, or we watch a movie. So that's when we meet, and we keep the spark alive. So I feel like give yourself some time, and that's how the spark will be maintained. It's a weird thing, but if you spend 24 hours together, it's going to die sooner than you think. You need to be apart, you need to spend time with yourself, you need to get to know yourself better, and come back and talk about what you've learned during the day. That's what we do, and it keeps us alive. Why did you think of living alone with your husband after marriage? I don't know why people think this is so absurd. Because it is now your own life. You've married that person, and now you guys are family, and you need to take your nest somewhere else. You need to take your nest away from your existing family, and it's not like we're detaching, or it's just that we want to start our lives all over again. Like we want to get to know each other from scratch without having people in our lives. We're so pampered where we are right now, we're so loved, and it feels amazing, but it's only going to last a certain time, and after that we need to start taking responsibilities. We need to face our own problems. Like if so and so happens, we can't be like, mama papa ye dekho na. Like we need to deal with the problems on our own. I wish everybody does this actually. I wish everybody understood that it's so important to leave your nest and start building a new nest, and face your difficulties together. See what it's like living with your partner alone. See whether you want kids and how to deal with different situations. Like you can't depend on your parents for the rest of your lives. I feel like they have lives too. Like even though they may be like, we want you to live here forever, like don't leave us, we'll be lonely. And I get that, I understand that, but I feel like once we leave the nest, they get their own time. They get time to rediscover each other. Like your parents and your in-laws, they get to rediscover who they are and start spending more time together. They may take trips together. If we are at home, they may not want to do that, because they may want to serve us every time. Like kids are at home, I can't go and spend time with so and so. I need to be home because my kids are here and my grandkids are here. So it's too much. We're sort of tying them down as well, in a way, if you see. And on a personal level, I feel like my mom has always taught me to sort of go out and build your own nest. She's always taught me and told me that you need to start a life with your husband on your own. It's just a beautiful way of living, and both of us have different lifestyles, and this is where lives clash, when your in-law has a very, very different lifestyle from you having a different lifestyle. And when two lifestyles come together, it's going to be a clash. Okay, one or the other may not be that understanding, and one of you has to compromise for the rest of your life, and it's not fair to the other person. And I feel like by just taking a separate house, all of that gets solved. Like you sort of have a better relationship with your in-laws, because you meet them weekly, you have dinners with them weekly, but then you go back to your own nest. So yeah, that's my understanding of having to live alone, and I feel like it's so important for everybody to do this. And I wish people could get out there more. If you could, and if you can afford it, and if it's in your power to move out of your in-laws house, I highly recommend you do so. Life is gonna change, and it's gonna be more better. Your relationship with your in-laws is gonna improve, because you can't be from different lifestyles and live together, because it's gonna clash. That's where in-laws and bahus clash a lot. and you don't want that, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these questions have been answered in my earlier 2 Sunday videos, to be honest with you. That's why I'm trying not to repeat the same content, so I'm trying to find some different question. How to handle the fact that people you truly loved and cared about were just making a fool of you? I don't understand that question, but I feel like if you're feeling betrayed or deceived, you should be happy that you identified them and they're now out of your life, and I really hope that you have pushed them out of your life, because we don't understand the impact people have on our lives. Like, the people we invite into our lives are so important, you guys. Like, please be aware of who you invite into your lives. Like, don't be so quick on it and just bring people into your lives, and then you've built on so much relationship, and then it's so hard to cut off. So please be aware and try and understand and see your very, very close friends, your top 5 people outside your family even. Who is it that you're inviting into your life, that you're inviting into your energy? Because they can literally destroy your energy, they can destroy your life, they can bring in so much negativity into your life. So as you've said, like, they've made, you've loved them so much, but they have betrayed you. Cut it out. Like, cut them off your life. Like, disinvite them and just let them go. Filter it out, because you need to filter those people out of your lives. They're not invited anymore, and you need to find people who improve your life and who allow you to grow and blossom and allow you to make your own decisions and are your biggest cheerleaders. I always say that the people you surround yourself with are exactly who you will sort of become. I really want to take this moment to talk about the people in my life and show you what impact it has had on me, so you sort of get an understanding. I always like to tell stories and connect you with my personal life, so I'm not bullshitting you. Like, I'm talking because I've gone through it. I want to credit Akhil a lot. I actually credit him a lot for where I am today, and not career wise, but just my growth and just my understanding and just in who I am. And I'll tell you why. Because he's this, he loves to have deep conversations and he asks a lot of questions. To me, initially, it was so boring. I was just like, oh my god, stop it. People don't want to hear about this. People don't want to know why. They don't want to dive into this deep question. Just have a fun conversation and let's move on. Keep it lighthearted. It used to bother me. It used to really bother me that he used to question everything. Dude, he still does. He questions everything. He wants to know the root cause of why she would answer like that, why he would tell me this. And I didn't really understand the meaning, and I didn't understand where he was coming from. But I feel like, he sort of contributed to where I am today, because I sort of tried to understand why does he ask such deep questions, and just spending a lot of time with him, of course, because he's my husband now, but spending a lot of time with him over the years, and his growth has led to my growth, because he sort of, the books that he read, the people that he was with, and the people who influenced him in his lives, and a lot of decisions that he took, and a lot of conversations that he contributed to, in time sort of made me think about a lot of things, and I wanted to know more. My curiosity level started to increase. I was not at all curious. I couldn't care about anything less. I was just me, my bubble, my YouTube, my fans, my makeup, that's all that but I just came out of their life, and I'm just dude, I need to see what's more deeper. I need to try and understand the deeper meaning of life, and I feel like he has a big hand to play here, and that's what I'm talking about. I feel like you don't know that they're influencing your life, but the people around you have so much power over you, you have no idea, and you're going to start seeing that in good time. Right now, today, I recognize how influential he was in my life because of the books he read, and now I'm reading different books and I'm listening to different people, and I'm taking interest in finding the true meaning of life and rediscovering my purpose and discovering who I am. And I feel like you get what I'm trying to say, right? His influence over the years sort of made me curious and made me question a lot of things in my life. And similarly, his father, he has a lot of good topics that he likes to talk about. He questions us a lot, and it really gets you thinking, and they influence your life in good time, man. So So see who your people are around you. I know it's a long answer to your questions, but I feel like I'm teaching you a lot of other things too. And I feel like now that my best friends are in my life, I just have very selected people in my life, okay, like down to the T. I know a lot of people, but my close circle is everything. So if you have a friend that is leaning towards, say, substance abuse, if they are smoking, not heavily, but they're smoking every single day, and you're really, really, really close to that person, you're his or her best friend, and they sort of start smoking up or they start drinking for fun, you don't know it, but they're sort of influencing your life. Like, you don't know it, but slowly in good time, you'll think that it's okay to sort of turn to alcohol when you're sad. It's okay to turn to a cigarette when you feel low, or just an escapism when you want to escape something. You will slowly learn that alcohol and substance abuse is a way to escape, instead of reading books and watching videos, and you take a different path depending on who your people are around you. But if just their life is all about alcohol and partying and just like frivolous things in life and have no value, they have no goal, they have nowhere to be in, like, that is a toxic relationship. That is somewhere you don't want to be. So really pay attention to who you're inviting into your life. Okay, another common question is, are you planning to have a baby? Like, why? I just got married 2 months ago. Like, you already want to start the baby thing on me? It's crazy how people just assume. I already spoke about this on my stories, and I speak about this a lot. Okay, so girls and guys, I mean this from a very good place in my heart, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I really wish you would respect other people's privacy and their boundaries. I feel like when you ask about kids, not ask, when you assume people want to have kids, it really puts them in an uncomfortable position, no matter who they are. So the first thing we ask people usually when we meet them, or even relatives, that they do it the most: how many babies do you want? When are you planning to make a baby? Or are you going to have more than 2 kids? These questions are really insensitive, and it's simply because maybe the couple has not spoken about it with each other. Maybe it puts them in a very awkward position. Maybe she can't have kids and she's not come out about it and told the family. But by probing and asking sensitive questions about babies, it's not putting them in a better place in their lives. Okay, so please, when someone is newly married, or if it's anyone, and if you want to put out the baby question, try and frame it properly. So a great way to begin is you can ask them, what are your thoughts on babies? That could be the first polite question you ask them. Or you can ask them, are you comfortable talking about babies? Can I ask you a few questions about it? And they will tell you, they'll be like, no, I don't feel like talking about it, but thank you for respecting my privacy. Like, you have literally made their day by asking them permission. Right now, I'm in the phase where I don't want to have babies, okay? I don't want to have kids. I'm not ready for it, and I don't know when that will change, but I'm in that place right now. And for women who are in this position, we're judged a lot. People are like, usko bacha nahi karna hai. Matlab, what is it like, today's generation, like. And I honestly don't care about that. I'm on a different tangent only when it comes to my decisions, but there are not many people that are built like that. A lot of people are sensitive, and they may have had miscarriages. They may have had a lot of problem during their first birth. There could be so many factors you are triggering right now, and it could lead her into a downward spiral. Okay, so make sure you are asking permission, or you're asking a better question to a married couple, or if you want to ask about babies. Should I sacrifice my dreams and goals for my parents' joy, or live my life according to me? You literally said it in your question. Should I sacrifice my dreams and goals for my parents' joy? Look, again, I've spoken about this on my channel earlier. I will link the video down below. You need to watch that video to get a full understanding of what my answer would be. But I feel like it's okay to upset your parents for a little while. It's fine, they will be okay once they see you happy. But giving up your dreams and goals for your parents' happiness is just too much to give up, okay? Because you're just in your 20s, you're just figuring life out, and you need to make your own decisions. You need to live your own lives. You definitely give birth to your kids, and you definitely help them grow, and you nurture them, but you don't own their life. You don't own their decisions, okay? Learning to let go of your kid and allowing her or him to make his own decisions, and being there when he falls down, teaching him some good values, teaching him that, figure it out on your own, but I'll be there to back you up whenever you need me. That is great amount of maturity and support on a parent's part. part. So I feel like if your parents are not there yet, my girl, you need to just go for your dreams anyway, because you get one life, and do you want to really live one life unhappy? Because you are going to be unhappy for the rest of your life if you do not follow your dreams and goals, and you are going to resent your parents. Like in good time, you're going to sort of dislike your parents and you're going to push them away. So all in all, it's not going to be good for anyone, because you're going to end up resenting your parents, and you're going to be unhappy. So it's not serving anybody. So no, it's okay to let them be sad for a bit, and I feel like they will come around when they see their son or daughter happy and living the best life they possibly can. What is your weirdest habit? Okay, I have a lot of them. Okay, my weirdest habit is carrying my Vaseline ka dabba everywhere I go. Okay, now I have lipstick on, so I don't, but it's sitting right there behind this pillow. It's not funny. When I say everywhere, I mean I carry it to the bathroom, I carry it to the living room, I carry, if I plan on sitting for more than 2 minutes in a particular room, I make sure I carry my Vaseline ka dabba there, because I'm addicted to putting lip balm on my lips.
I'm Malvika Sitlani and I'm addicted to lip balms. Who is with me? Like,
should I start this weird club where people are addicted to lip balms? Because I so am. If you were to write a novel, what would it be about? Great question. I think I would write about my life, to be honest with you. I mean, it's too soon, so I would wait till I'm like 40 or something, because I will have gained a lot of experience and life would have taught me a lot of lessons by then. And yeah, I would have definitely written about my life, because everybody has a story to tell and you need to put it out there to encourage someone else to do the same. How do you handle a toxic, broken and scattered family and stay sane? Wow. Very difficult, like, but not impossible. Like, very difficult to be in a very broken home that is built with toxicity. I feel like it's to really like center yourself, is to actually just do your thing, focus on your thing and just block the noise. It's so difficult, my loves. It is so, I'm not saying it's easy, it's easier said than done, right? But I feel like it's your only gateway, man, to stay sane. It's your only gateway when you just dive into your inner self and you like literally take time out to push the noise outside. And you know, your parents may be screaming and abusing and you know, the whole toxic stuff that's happening. Don't absorb any of it. Like, try and keep a wall, try and build a wall where nobody can come in between you and your inner self. Like, build that wall where there's no toxicity that can enter your soul. And try and study hard, work hard and get the F out of that environment. And you need to start a new chain. You need to break that cycle of toxicity and you know, broken home, because it may come through like a lot of generations. You may have like very disturbed family ties, divorces, fatherless home, but you need to break that chain by starting a new family however you may seem fit. And by then you will understand what you should not do in your future family. Like, you will give so much love to yourself and your future family that it's going to break that cycle of a broken home. So make sure it starts with you. Again, it all begins with you. If you have identified that your family is toxic and they're broken and it's not serving you in your life, try, work hard, be at a place where you're okay enough to leave that environment, leave that nest and begin a nest of your own, where you are within yourself. You start new values, you start new traditions, and you break the cycle of toxicity. That's all I have to say. If you don't break it, it's going to continue to your kids and your kids, your grandkids. It's going to continue for generations, and you will keep having broken families all through your generations, and you don't want that. So make sure you are walking out, even though it seems difficult, but you are walking out at whatever age you can.
Akhil is so handsome, dude. Thanks, dude.
Can you tell the beauty of having a husband of a different religion? It's adorable to see you both. It's okay. I feel like religion shouldn't keep two people apart, because religion can be complicated and it's very difficult, right? Everybody has their own understanding of their own religion and beliefs, and I feel like he respects my space and I respect his space, and I think that allows us to be together. My faith is a big part of my life and it's made me who I am today, and I continue to grow my relationship with God and be in that spiritual journey because it's just helping me in a positive, amazing way. And he sees that, and I feel like he supports it, and he has no partake in it, but he supports it and respects it, which for me is more than enough so far. and I respect where he's coming from. So he doesn't necessarily believe in like there's a god, but he believes in a higher energy. That's what his thought process is, and I respect that. Like, you know, I think we've both like matured over time, over multiple conversations, over arguments, like over a lot of tears and emotions. We've sort of talked this through, and we've come to a point where we just respect each other's beliefs, and yeah, that's where we're like where we can be, you know. What do you think is neglected in a relationship most often? Great question. Conversations. I feel like conversations are very underrated, and I feel like people just say, yeah, you need to talk to your husband, talk about it, but no one really talks about it. Like, honestly, conversations. You need to have conversations with your partner. You need to understand where they're coming from, what makes them who they are, why. You need to question, why are you like this, why are you not like this, what is it that is making you think like this. Like, having conversations and discussing and talking to each other and spending quality time is the most neglected in relationships today, because everyone's focusing on their works and being successful and, you know, being number one in the workspace and being rich and like all of that. But all of that means nothing if you don't have a connection with your partner. I feel like you need to sit your ass down and have a long discussion and conversation about life and like future, and it's just so much fun discovering what they think about it. And like, you know, it may be difficult conversations, like sometimes it really hurts knowing where your partner is, and if you're not in sync with that, it really hurts. But then at least you know, and you're not like hit with it later in life. And that's where everyone gets stuck with, like, I've dated him for like 15 years, but how could I not know this is what he would do? Because you never spoke to him about it, you never conversed with him, you never got to know him very well, you know. How to get out of a toxic relationship? I don't know, but I'm assuming, and I'm empathetic with you that it is so difficult because you've attached yourself with someone so much, and now they've become this toxic person, and it's like just affecting your mental health. And is it worth it? Is it worth them affecting your mental health and your well-being in life? So I feel like being aware, and now that you've understood it, you're like, well, I am in a toxic relationship, because you asked this question, so you know you're in a toxic relationship. It again goes down to inviting people in your life, right? You invited him into your life, or you invited her into your life, and now it's become toxic and you are uncomfortable with this and it's not serving you. You have the power to detach. You have the power to let go and disinvite that person from your life. You have the power to cut that person off from your life. Now, you may be sad, you may be depressed, but honey, you're gonna come out braver and stronger and so much more happier. I feel like when people are in a toxic relationship, they're addicted to that feeling, like that's all they know, and that pain is all they want to go back to. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise you would have left earlier. I feel like that pain is what is pulling you through life. I feel like it's okay, I'd rather have this pain in my life, but I don't want to lose him. No, honey, no. This is not what life is about. Like, life is not about compromising and settling and just taking abuse and being in a toxic environment. That's not what life is about. Life is beautiful, and the day you realize that, the day you walk out of toxic relationships, your life is gonna be enriched and nourished and beautiful. And I feel like I wish people could see that side. You know, don't dwell in your pain. Don't self-inflict. You don't deserve it, and you're worthy of so much more, and you need to realize that and part ways, man. Part ways now. And I know it'll feel odd, and you'll find this weird sense of happiness, and you'd want to go back to it. You know, people break up, come back together, break up, come back together, break up. Oh my god, I know people break up 1,000 times but still stick with each other and hit each other and abuse each other but come back to each other. That is a toxic environment that is killing you every single day. And it's just death in a different way. That feeling that you have, that different feeling, that sense of openness, that's a good feeling. Don't run away from it back into the pain. Don't invite that pain back into your life. Feel uncomfortable, because change is uncomfortable, baby. Change, anything good happening to yourself, to your life, to your body, will be uncomfortable, and it's not meant to be easy. Okay, that's why it's changing, and when it's changing, you're going into a better path. And if you can stick it out and just push yourself through, you're going to just come out much more better and happier. Okay, so man, look for happiness, yaar. Look for awesome people. Like, why are you stuck and dwelling in that same stew of abuse and, like, I don't know, sadness and, you know, people pulling you down, hitting you? Like, it just breaks my heart. And I know every circumstance is different. It's not so easy to walk out when, you know, I know it's difficult sometimes. But as and when you can get out of that relationship, you should. And you should not look back after that. Hello, check 1 2 3. Technical difficulty. Hey guys, what's up? The ending of this video did not get recorded, unfortunately. I don't know what happened. I cannot find the footage. So anyway, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for all your support and all your appreciation and your amazing questions. You make me think, you make me grow, and I cannot thank you enough for what you're doing to me in my life. I appreciate you, and I love you so much. So definitely comment down below and let's have a chat. Let's discuss about what you thought about this video, and I will catch you in the next one. I love you so much. Bye. I hope you have an amazing, motivated, productive week. Love you. Mwah.